everyone. So today the talk is not going to be very educative or about a new dev tool, but it's going to be more like a philosophical discussion. So I want you all to put on your thinking hats and start thinking with me as we progress through the presentation. So first of all, I want to start by asking here, who knows what a profile is? Like an internet profile. So yeah. So you have a Facebook profile or a LinkedIn profile or like a profile at whatever platform. How many people here have at least one profile? So the entire room. How many people here have at least 5 profiles? Still the entire room. How many people here have more than 10 profiles? Still, you see, we have a bunch of different profiles on the internet. Okay, now coming to wallet addresses. How many people here have at least one wallet address? Entire room. How many people have at least 5 wallet addresses? Still the entire room. More than 10?
Maybe.
Okay, still the entire room. Okay, this is a good one. More than 20? Yeah, I think this is a developer room. I think I have more than 40 because I just use them as burner addresses. So yeah, so this is exactly what we are going to talk about. What is happening? Why do we have so many profiles, so many wallet addresses, and how are we thinking about these things? So since I told you this is going to be a philosophical discussion, let's start by the very beginning. So what was Web 1.0? Web 1.0, did we have profiles in Web 1? Did we have email addresses? We had email addresses. So is the email a profile? Yeah, maybe not. Okay, let's just say that it was not a profile. But Web 1.0 was static and contextless. It was just like a one-way communication channel. People could maybe read the news, get some entertainment, and that was about it. And it's not open? Is it now? Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think I was out enough still. But people could not really interact with anything they saw on Web 1.0 since there was no context. So Yahoo was a perfect example. Who has used Yahoo? Do we have? Okay, so we have enough older people. Then came Web 2.0. In Web 2.0, contextual interactions were introduced. So the internet evolved a little bit, and now it let you interact with the content that was being presented as well. So you could not only just read or see content, but also interact with it. And this was the first point where we started leaving a piece of our personalities online, which is also called as a digital footprint. Did we have profiles in Web 2? Yes, we did. Web 2.0 was the first time where profiles were introduced. So what exactly is a profile? Profiles basically identify users within a platform, they contextualize interactions, they personalize your experiences, but all of it is siloed within a platform. Let's understand more what I'm talking about. So first coming to, how do profiles identify a person? So normally we think that when we go on the internet, we as a person, like I'm Hira, I go on the internet and I'm just interacting online. But how we actually behave is very different, both in real life and in digital life. So we all have these personas, different parts of our personalities that get activated based on what we're experiencing. So right now, as I'm here standing on this stage, my speaker persona is activated. When I'll go home after this meetup, my mom persona will be activated, and so on and so forth. And this is exactly how we behave in the online world as well. So if all of us maybe have a LinkedIn, a Twitter, an Instagram, and even the kind of choices we make for the profile picture is different. So on LinkedIn, we put our headshots maybe in a quote, maybe in bright light. On Facebook, we maybe have a profile picture of the recent travel that we went to, or maybe a picture with our family, let's say. And on GitHub, well, nobody puts a profile picture on GitHub, so most of the people have just a random avatar that gets created. Now coming to, how do profiles contextualize your interactions? So we're all smart people here, right? So no matter where the information is coming from, we interpret it the same way. Yes? No? Well, no. we basically see the context where the information is coming from. I have an example on the screen. So let's say there are two people, both are talking about some new thing that happened in Web3, maybe a new legislation that came out or a new protocol that came out. One person has a blue tick and let's say 50,000 followers. The other person has no tick and maybe just 26 followers. Who are you going to believe? Whose post are you going to retweet? Whose post are you most likely to interact with? Even though both of them are saying the same thing. So this is how humans interpret the information that's presented through the context that's around the profile. Profiles also personalize your experiences. When you go on Netflix, most of you, if you're tired and you've had a hectic day, Netflix shows you a list of recommendations of the movies right on top, based on what you're interested in or what your past viewing history is. And most of the times we just pick something from that top layer. This is called recommendation. Then, if you go on Instagram, you don't want to see irrelevant stuff. You want to see content from your friends or the influencers you follow or the topics that are of your interest. This is called curation. And then, for example, if you go on Facebook, they sometimes recommend you groups or let's say communities that you can join based on what you're interested in. This is called discovery. So profiles personalize your experience, and this is what makes Web2 platforms so addictive and makes us want to go back to these platforms again and again because they actually make us feel good. They provide us a good user experience and they want us to come back again and again and again. However, profiles silo your context. As the internet started growing, profiles started becoming more and more enriched. And it got to a point where now the profile is so valuable that this is what the entire Web2 platforms are fighting on. Do you think that it serves the purpose of big giants to kind of open their context or tell everyone the entire data that they have gathered on a person? No, because this is their entire business model. How are they going to show ads? How are they going to recommend them things if they don't even if they open source this context or this data? And this is why profiles are kept siloed, and this is why now it is becoming impossible to compete with these platforms on an equal basis. Because a platform that just spins up today, they would not have access to the same data, the same profiles, the same context that these big giants already got at a good point maybe a decade ago, and therefore the playing field is not equal. Then came actually Web3. And Web3 basically introduced the ownership economy. So we all know that Web3 introduced this paradigm where you could really own your assets, own your tokens, own your data, but nobody until now has ever tried to own their own profiles or own their own context. The other very interesting thing that Web3 did was they introduced a new paradigm for interactions. So the very interesting thing about Web3 is that the person has privacy. So the person is pseudonymous, it's just the wallet address, but the actions are transparent. And this was perfect for a financial use case. So why do you need to know who the person is if you're just transferring money or some asset from one person to another? But in the quest for pseudonymity, we completely lost context. We during this transition from Web2 to Web3, we left behind context in Web2. And this is because the anatomy of a wallet is such that a wallet has a pseudonymous, like an address, a hex address, has some transactions, has some assets, but it has no information about the preferences of the wallet holder, the interests of the wallet holder, the social graph of the wallet holder, the social context, or anything like that. And why are we talking about this today? Why is it so important to have this or not have this? Why is it even a topic? And this is because Web3 has immense potential to create a new generation of platforms. So using the technology behind Web3, we can actually create platforms that are censorship resistant. And the state of the world that is today, censorship resistance is a huge, huge upside. Then we can have actually platforms that could have open ranking and recommendation systems. The entire creator economy, music economy, IP, all of this can be revolutionized through creating platforms where like we have these open source, decentralized, censorship resistant principles. However, even though Web3 platforms hold a great promise, every time somebody has tried to create such platforms, they have failed or at least not done very well. And this is one of the reasons why retention rates are also very low. How many people here have Farcasted or have at least tried? Okay, there are a few hands, maybe 8 or 10 people. Do you guys use it the same way that you do Twitter? No. That's the point that I'm trying to make. That what exactly is happening? Why are these platforms failing to retain or engage users? And why is it that the only viable way for platforms to actually attract or acquire new users is by offering them airdrops? Airdrop farming has actually become like a culture, and like it feels good when you get a free airdrop, but when that is the only way the platforms can acquire users, then something is not exactly right. And like until last year, everybody was saying that people are not coming to Web3 because onboarding is very difficult and nobody wants to create a MetaMask. Agreed. But imagine, let's say, in 1 year, we solve all onboarding problems. Everyone has come on Web3. Everyone can create a wallet through email address. They don't need to like care about seed phrases, all of that stuff. Do you guys think they would still use Web3 platforms? Like the entire world, or maybe like the major part of the world? Your siblings, your parents, your friends who are not in Web3? I don't think so. And the reason why is that even if everyone comes to Web3, we need a way to engage them. Until we engage them, until we incentivize them enough to come to platforms again and again, mass adoption is not going to happen. And we've seen this before. How many people here were at the time when CryptoKitties kind of broke Ethereum? Okay, yeah, so there are 2 or 3 people. I had deployed a smart contract at that time, and it took 2.5 days for that smart contract to be deployed. I used to freelance at that time, and this was like a customer's smart contract that I had to deploy, and like it was a tough conversation. Okay, Ethereum is not working, so you have to wait. But the point is, that was the first time when actually people kind of felt engaged by something that was being offered on the blockchain. So it was fun, like people were having some fun, people were like trading these CryptoKitties, and it kind of brought out the whole scalability issues of Ethereum. The other example is that last year, Base, that's the layer 2 by Coinbase, that became the most profitable layer 2 with the most transactions in the first month after its launch. The reason was not something that Base itself offered. The reason was that they did a podcast with Jesse Bullock, and they like brought on favorite people like famous influencers and stuff, and they just had this podcast. And this podcast was something that people were enjoying, and that is why the underlying layer started getting more transactions. So the point is that you have to have something to engage users. I didn't really introduce myself in the start, so I'm Hira. I'm co-founder of Plurality Network, and we are trying to solve this exact same problem. And what we're doing is that we're building an open social context layer for the internet. And using this context layer, we're building actually profiles. So imagine you have your Ethereum address. Against your Ethereum address, you can create self-custodial profiles that are not siloed within any platform, that are tagged to your wallet address, that are not transparent, but you can take it with you wherever you go on any platform across any blockchain. So just like a USB stick, which you take with you with your data from one computer to another, you can take your profile with you from one platform to another. And if you allow a certain app to get access to your profile, then they can essentially improve the experience for you or provide you with relevant offers or maybe discounts or whatever it is that they can offer you. Smart profiles basically equalize the relationship between the platform and the user because now the user isn't actually in control. Profiles, what can profiles do for users? Profiles allow users transparency over how their data is shared, gives them the option to either remain undoxed or if the platform is offering something to them in return, maybe a good experience or maybe some offers, then they can divulge some information about themselves. So, for example, you could have a gaming profile, which could have your gaming interests, or you could have your music profile, which could have your music interests. So, let's say you like to listen to jazz, and your profile has this information that you like to listen to jazz. Next time, when you go on a Web3 music platform or an NFT platform, and if you connect your music profile, the platform would know that okay, this address has these music interests and they can recommend you what you like. So that would bring us one step closer to the personalization experience that we get on Web2 platforms, but in a way that does not replicate the same problems but puts user back in control. For the apps, they can use these profiles to enhance retention. That's all. Thank you. So you can connect with me if you want. This is the Twitter page of Plurality Network, and we're also going to have a hackathon next month in Berlin, also remote, but primarily in Berlin. So if any one of you are devs, please join. Questions? I know this is a very, very new idea, concept, and yeah, I might have confused the people who do. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
What format are the profiles in and how do you ensure interoperability?
Yeah, so the profiles are on Ceramic, which is a layer on top of IPFS, like decentralized storage. We use PIDs as the method to create these profiles and link them with the original address. But we have also introduced a zero knowledge layer in the mid so that the information in these profiles is not transparent, but only when the user allows somebody to get access to this, only then this data gets divulged. The format is OpenID-VC4, which is like a verifiable credential schema.
And the verifiable credentials are then held in the user's wallet?
So they're tagged to the user's wallet, but they're held in streams that are created on Ceramic. So it's like this. So you have a wallet address. Against this wallet address, whenever a new profile is getting created, then a new DID gets created against this wallet address. And against this DID, with the DID's keys, the data gets encrypted and stored on Ceramic screens. And they can be updated as well. So it's not like a static fixed context. It regularly keeps getting updated as well. Yeah?
Is it one profile per one wallet address or multiple profiles?
N profiles per wallet address. And ideally these profiles would be like different. So it's not like you would have all your information in one profile and then you're divulging all of this to every platform. It's only the part that's relevant to that platform. So like, as I give the example, you can have like a gaming profile, a music profile, a social profile, a scientific profile, whatever. And then let's say if you're on a D app, which is a music platform, then you just connect your music profile.
Is it within MetaMask or where would I toggle?
Yeah, this is like we have created a widget. So if you have used Privy or Dynamic Wallet or anything like that before, the interface is very similar to that, but just when you're connecting your wallet, either like through email or whatever you use to create it, after that you can also connect your profile. You would have to create your profiles beforehand, or otherwise the widget will show you how. But once you have created your profile once, you don't need to do it again and again. You just then can connect to a platform. Yeah.
And is the infrastructure similar to like self-sovereign identity? So do you have like three?
Yes, exactly. It's very similar. So My co-founders and I, we have worked extensively in self-sovereign identity. That's the background that where we are coming from. We have also written several research papers, worked with German government for this, and we are introducing the same concept. We're using very similar. There are some tweaks that we have done to make it like more crypto native, but you can say 80-90% of the stuff is same.
If someone knows the address, can they get to all the profiles?
No, not unless the user specifically allows them to do it. Because the user would have to sign not a transaction, but like sign the data for it to be decrypted. So it's like only when the user allows. Yeah.
From the address, do we understand external addresses or also maybe smart contract wallets?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, both. We are so in the widget we are introducing. So our mission is to like really onboard the next billion users. Everybody says that, but it sounds like a cliche now. But we really want to onboard people and then make them stay on blockchain as well. So on top of this layer, we have a lot more ideas, lot more apps, SDKs that we are going to be building. But the first artifact is the widget, through which somebody can just connect their existing wallet through MetaMask or Wallet Connect, or they can also create their account abstraction wallet, for which we are using multi-party compute techniques.
So you said before user need to sign with their wallet to give access to the data to
Yeah.
the platform which wants to read it. So it means you are also as a provider, you don't see the data as well.
No, we don't.
Then second question would be, what is your business model then? Because like if you think about Facebook and co, like it's all about data which they're selling on the advertisers, etc.
Yeah.
What will be for you? Because it still costs to run all of this.
Yes, it does, and we are going to be charging DApps. DApps. I don't know what everybody says. I say DApp, maybe it's DApps, but we're going to be charging DApps because just like they pay for account abstraction. So we have tagged the solution with account abstraction because it makes sense when if you think about profiles and accounts, they go together, right? So when you're logging in, it needs to be part of that. So we have an account abstraction plus profiles personalization solution. So dApps already pay for account abstraction solutions, right? And they're already paying for airdrops, they're already paying for marketing. So we believe that if we kind of combine these and give it to them, right when a user lands on their platform, then they will pay for this as well. So of course we're a very early stage startup, so some of the theses that we have are research based right now, but not really practical. But maybe in 6 to 8 months, I'll be able to give you answers with exact numbers. Yeah?
So out of my several profiles, when I connect to a dApp, I can choose any of these profiles to divulge it to them, because for you music app it makes no sense to divulge
No.
my reading habits.
Exactly. So when the DApp is integrating the widget, they will have to tell what profile they need. And then only that profile, the user gets prompted to just have that profile. And if, for example, none of the existing profile schemas that we have in the system, if none of those serve the needs of the dApp and they want something else, maybe it's a new kind of DApp that we haven't thought of, then they can also create a custom profile which is specific to their needs. And this could actually also be like a revenue generation model. So if you want to create a new custom profile, then you pay something extra. Yeah.
Just two questions. First, will privacy basically not kind of boost your company, but also kind of destroy it? Because when you cannot basically see which interactions, or when all interactions are private, I mean, it's hard for you to do that, but once it is, I think profile makes a lot more sense. First. And the other one is, why not just build on Ton? Because I think this is you said a billion, you have a billion, it's already there. Right?
So,
on
so
Telegram, on the
Yeah.
network, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so in order to create profiles, we are sourcing this data from several different platforms. So when the person first creates their, let's say, music profile, then we ask them to connect their Spotify or YouTube and we take some like data from those profiles. Telegram is something that we looked into. Maybe it would come into one of the data sources for our profiles, but the amount of information that you can get out of Telegram in a compliant way is pretty limited. So that's why it's a little bit deprioritized at the moment. And your other question was, if I get it correctly, about privacy. So can you repeat the question, please?
Well, let me rephrase it like this, so maybe it's more clearer. No one wants a profile from Monero, but maybe it's also not possible. So what do you do when basically Ethereum itself said privacy is high on the roadmap?
Yeah.
So it's only a question when it comes. How do you?
We want to preserve this option that if a person wants to remain like completely anonymous and wants to use the platform in an undoxed way, they should have that option as well. So we.
But are you still confident that you can like source the data if basically transactions are really like private, or kind of with the smart account wallets if you cannot really do anything?
No, the on-chain transactions are not private. So let's say the user comes to a platform with their profile and then later on they do something on that platform like they perform an on-chain transaction, and that's really not in our hands because like that just follows whatever blockchain is it on. So if it's public, then it's public. However, even when people do these transactions, getting context out of this and like having meaningful information or meaningful insights from these actions is also pretty tough. So what we do is that we also scan a wallet addresses on-chain activity and try to make some sense out of it and add that to the profile context as well for later on usage.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar, but I think like smart account wallets are coming to Ethereum and basically so from my understanding, it's legal to now cash. I always connect with this and then do whatever I want to do, and you can basically then not trace what I've done, right? Because 100 people connected, they did everything, and then you cannot trace my actions anymore. You know what I mean?
Smart accounts are not something that can be synonymized to turn into cash, because like smart accounts, the controller of the smart account is still either in like a wallet address, an EOA account, or an email address, so it can still be traced to the whatever addresses. So it does not mix. It's not like a mixer that mixes transactions and you have no idea who did what.
No, I think, just want to clarify, I think he's talking about on-chain privacy, transaction privacy, whereas you're talking about privacy of attributes that are revealed to
Yes.
the dApps, right? So
Yes.
that is
Yes.
basically done in zero knowledge, so that is.
Yeah.
That
So
is just privacy.
yeah, exactly. So like the transaction is open and secure, whatever happens there, but then the information that's in the profile. So what we do is we also have some engines that we run based on the wallet addresses activity and try to get some meaningful data out of it. So like maybe if a person is consistently buying NFT collections, certain kind of NFT collections, and maybe he's interested in like let's say a person buys a Zuki NFT and always buys these kind of anime NFTs, and maybe that's an interest that can be added to the profile context if the person wants. So, but these
How
are like
is it different from Arkham or like on-chain? You know, like I mean, there are all these services that basically do what you do, but they're just for like speculation. So people want to track the whales, and
Yeah.
this basically, right? I mean, this already exists, so. I think
it exists in like okay, there are some like you said, speculation of the whales, so that's like in the DeFi category. Then there's also some people are trying to build tools for DAO governance to figure out how to allow people into a certain DAO based on certain attributes, and there's Bitcoin as well. So there have been all these fragmented kind of attempts at solving parts of the problem, or maybe like in a specific niche. What we are building is more like a holistic solution that could be used for all of these use cases, because like each profile is like catering to a specific use case.
Will you offer verified profile attributes, for example, residency within Europe as a property?
Yeah, that's a legal nightmare. So we do not
It's not
want
within
to.
your scope.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not within our scope. Technically, it could be, but we don't want to
Yeah, we
go
would
there.
need to check ID cards, basically.
Yeah, we don't want to go
I
there.
think that's a very valid question question because we don't know yet, but Mika could also say, hey, okay, non-KYC transactions are basically forbidden or like illegal. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's maybe a very strong use case. It's not that you want to do it; you have to do it.
I would have loved meeting you if you had met me like 1 year ago, because I actually pitched this when we were like we were in the process of like refining the idea, and this was one of the discussions that we did in some conferences, and yeah, let's just say people were not very happy thinking about doing KYC when you're interacting on chain. So yeah, even though I also think that it's a use case that can be relevant, but yeah, let's just say there's not a strong enough market for that yet. Okay, yeah.
More questions. So the main value proposition here is to users, right? So that they can have interoperable sort of social media profiles.
And yeah, but the main value proposition is not just to users. So there are actually three aspects that we're discovering. So for the users, of course, they have interoperable profiles. They can take their they don't have to like manage extra seed phrases or anything for that. They just create their profile, tag to their wallet, and they take it along with them wherever they go. But then for DApps, this is a new way to be able to connect with their users and understand their needs and their requirements so that they can provide them with an experience that's more tailor-made for them, similar to what happens in Web2 platforms today. So a lot of people say that personalization, people don't need that, but the statistics say something otherwise. 76% people are annoyed when they don't get a personalized experience, and yeah, same is for Web3 platforms as well. So yeah, and the third thing is third-party cookies. Actually, I did not cover that here, but third-party cookies are being phased out this year. Chrome and Mozilla will end their third-party cookie support in December, and for loyalty and engagement, a lot of companies, a lot of brands used to use third-party cookies to gather this data, which infringed on people's privacy because they were like getting thrown all these ads or all these promotions, but they were getting nothing in return. And therefore, in anticipation for this, many brands that are trying to enter into Web3, like Gucci or Ralph Lauren, they started using NFTs as a zero-party data strategy for loyalty programs. Starbucks did a very famous loyalty program as well called Odyssey, and all of this was because of this impending doom that third-party cookies are being phased out. So the plurality smart profile tag can essentially serve as decentralized cookies, but only when a person is allowing their profile to be accessed. And therefore, brands have to offer something to the user to be able to get this information out of the user. So now the balance is more tilted towards the user. Actually, a lot of brands have already shown interest in this tech because of how things are and because it's like more privacy preserving as well. So brands are also a huge persona that we have. Yeah.
Can you mitigate against certain dApps colluding with each other and sharing those profiles without the consent of the user?
That is a challenge, that's true. So we're working on it, but we don't have a finalized solution for that yet. But that's
Well, it could be contractual, right? You could
Yeah.
just have a contract with
exactly
them.
that's
If
what
they do-
we're counting on right now. So in the developer terms of use, so like every time somebody uses your software product, they have to comply to this developer terms of use. So right now our intermediary solution is that we would like make them sign this, that you're not going to collude with other DApps or like use the data for like anything malicious. And the other thing is that we are trying to keep the data to very minimal, so like really actionable insights, but not any kind of identifiable information. So let's-
Small profiles.
yeah.
basically.
I just want to challenge the value proposition to the dApp side, right? Because knowing the self-sovereign identity space and
Yeah.
the problems that it has had in getting traction. So essentially here, like the dApps could individually collect the personal data they want from the users.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could without something like this. But so what you're offering is something that, you know, which doesn't really, I mean, you try to monetize them, so you charge them for something,
Yeah.
which may not necessarily lead to a direct benefit to them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, in a way I do, but
So I just
yeah.
see a little bit of a challenge there in terms of, because it's a very multi-sided problem, right?
Yes.
You need to have so many players in there.
Yeah,
So
that is true. That is true. And if it were easy to like balance all of this, then this wouldn't be a startup. This would be like a project. But yeah, these are some of the challenges that we're seeing. But I don't think that dApps have no interest in getting this data because, like as I said, third-party cookies are getting out, and like maybe you can get this even if they were not being phased out, then it was maybe possible to kind of find like this Facebook address has these interests. But when we're talking about wallet, we are like in the middle of the Web 2 and the Web 3 world. So a wallet is actually a person that has real interests that are being generated on all the Web 2 platforms, plus all their Web 3 activity as well that's on chain. So it's a multifaceted problem, and there are now a few startups that are coming out that are trying to like combine this Web 2, Web 3 world and unifying it in a way. That's what's our attempt as well. Yeah.
Maybe last question, sorry. I was wondering if you are planning to also enrich this attribute-based profiles, as it sounds like, with more context information, such as, I don't know, CRM type, like your contacts and so on, that you can in some way port over, because I feel like every time you mentioned Tarkester or something, your contacts are missing, and yeah, I feel like so this whole personal CRM world is kind of, besides my personal attributes such as interests, is left behind in a way. Is that something? How are you thinking about that aspect?
Yeah, this is also something on the roadmap. Not immediate roadmap, maybe like in a year or so. But this is the fascinating thing. So when we started like this open social context here and this profiles, people are now coming to me with use cases that even I hadn't thought of before. Like somebody the other day said to me, this is like cashless token gating, and this is something like we're pretty huge on. So like we are calling this profile gating, because what you can do with token gating, you can do the same with these profiles, but without having to give out NFTs to people or any kind of tokens to people to figure out who gets access to what. So yeah, but what you said, this was also something that we've discussed. So the first use case, so we are launching our MVP with a metaverse virtual fashion event in September. So the first use case, the first big event or customer that we have, this is like in the metaverse space that is trying to like utilize this tech to connect various different metaverse platforms. So that's like the first thing that's on our agenda. But after that, we have a social SDK planned where anyone could like create any kind of social apps along with built-in personalization features like open ranking and recommendation systems, and like this, like what you said, this social graph. So this is what's a social graph. So the people that you're connected to, but there's also social graphs migration as well. So that's like the phase 2 of the protocol. Yeah. Because if you think about it, the recommendation algorithm that different platforms use, that's also proprietary, and therefore we have no idea what's going into this algorithm and why we are being shown the things we are shown. Okay, interests are definitely one part of it, but maybe there are other sneaky ways to that they're pushing things in our face. So if you follow the ethos, even that curation algorithm should also be open source, and people should be able to choose that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just on that open source note, just checking your website if there's no GitHub link, and clicking on like the white paper link right now just leads to a form. Is that something on your roadmap that you will actually publish some on that, or?
Yeah, the website needs to be updated. Yeah, I need to do that this month. Yeah, as I said, we're a very early stage startup, so yeah, the website, I know it's crappy right now. I made that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, but if you you can go to the docs.plurality.network. They are also going to be updated next month. You guys are all welcome to join our hackathon. We're doing this with Deutsche Telekom, Graph, and Arbitrum. Sorry, not Arbitrum, Chainlink. And it's going to be like a good big hackathon. So yeah, we are probably the smallest fish in that in that hackathon, but I would love it if you guys join there. I can send you the light paper as well. Yeah, I think if you like enter the form, this comes to my email, and I manually send out like the light paper. Yeah, it's a trick to get emails. You know that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I love talking to all of you. I was in a conference last week, and frankly, I traveled all the way to Tallinn. There was a lot of snow, and even then, in my talk, there were like lesser people than this, and they were not engaged at all. So, thank you, everyone.